I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Senator Joe Manchin spoke with Canadian government officials on Tuesday about White House communication with them on energy production. Manchin asked if the federal government had spoken to Canadian counterparts about adding to oil production. Canada is one of the largest suppliers of crude oil to the United States. Listen in to the West Virginia Democrats' questions.
All of our neighbors. We appreciate very much y'all making the effort to be here today. And with that, we'll start with our questioning. And I'm going to start with to both of Premier Kenney and Minister Wilkinson. This is for both of you all. We all know that the demand with COVID-19 and also with Putin's war on Ukraine, the strain that's put on all of us with the North American energy is going to be needed for years to come in order to offset that. We understand that. So I would ask either one of you and both of you to answer this. Have you been in contact with our administration here or your counterpart, Minister Wilkinson or Premier Kenney, any other than us speaking to you from the legislative branch, from the executive branch, anybody speaking to you all concerning increasing oil, natural gas, the things that we're going to need in order to help our allies? You can start with yourself, and now I'll go to Mr.
Thank you, Senator. The answer, well, I don't have a counterpart in the U.S. government as I'm the leader of a subnational government, but yesterday I did have meetings with officials at the U.S. State Department that we initiated. I will say we found it passing strange that following the invasion of Ukraine, there were clear efforts by the administration to reach out to OPEC, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, and Iran, but we have no record of any effort by the administration to reach out to Alberta, which, as I said, provides 62% of U.S. oil imports.
Minister Wilkinson, did you all have any conversations or anyone reach out to your counterparts from the U.S.?
Yes, thank you, Senator. Yes, we have had ongoing conversations with the administration. Certainly, I have spoken with Secretary Granholm many, many times since the invasion of Ukraine, and I was at the White House last week having similar conversations. As you know, we have had a number of in-person meetings to discuss how to address this. I think you and I actually met in Paris at the International Energy Agency when Secretary Granholm was there. And the focus very much in terms of increasing production was our announcement of 300,000 additional barrels a day, which we worked with Premier Kenney and the industry on, was partly the product of those conversations because, of course, the offtake to get it to the Gulf has to come from the United States. And we continue to talk about issues like LNG exports, for example.
Have you all increased your production?
Well, yeah.
For the U.S., for us to be able to help our allies around the world?
I'll say yes. Last year was a record year for production and exports. We hit, I think, in December, 4.1 million barrels a day. But Senator, we believe, and we frankly don't agree with the 200,000 barrel estimate of just offered by Minister Wilkinson. We have about 300,000 barrels of daily unused capacity in the North American pipeline system, which we expect to fill this year through increased production. Once that's filled, the economics will probably work for additional shipment by rail, which could be upwards of an additional 200,000 barrels a day. In addition, if midstream companies get serious about it, and if regulators approve it, we could see a series of technical improvements through pipeline optimization and line reversals over the next year or so that could add upwards of another 400,000 barrels a day of potential capacity. And then finally, in Q4 of 2023 and Q1 of 2024.
This would also reduce the United States reliance on OPEC or Saudi or...
Well, I would certainly hope that I think American refineries, I know, would prefer to buy locally, partly because they get our energy on a discount, since we are currently largely landlocked, and so we are price takers. And I do know that Gulf refineries are very keen to get more access to our heavy supply.
Minister, do you have anything to say on that, Mr. Wilkinson?
No, I think, as Premier Kenney said, the focus in the short term has been on looking at ways to essentially utilize existing pipeline capacity. That's where the 300,000 barrels or barrel equivalents comes from, and it was the product, obviously, of work that we did with the pipeline companies, the oil sector. And certainly that is part of the contribution that Canada makes in the same way that the Americans have made a contribution, the Brazilians have, to trying to actually ensure that we are addressing the concerns associated with displacing Russian
Let me
oil
go
and
to
gas,
the, let me go to
Europe.
the Enbridge 5 pipeline that we talked about, and, going under the Great Lakes. With that, we're concerned, and I'm sure as you would understand, we're concerned about the safety of that. We've had no problems, but, with the line's age and all that. Do you all have recommendations of how you could secure that and make it safer, and that way less of a danger that people might be concerned about? From both of you all, yes.
Okay,
Mayor
thanks,
Kenny?
Senator. Well, first of all, Enbridge has proposed spending upwards of $750 million on this new high-tech, extremely safe subterranean pipeline. And this is to replace the pipeline that's operated safely across the Straits of Mackinac now for 6 decades, delivering about 530,000 barrels a day of light sweet to refineries in Ohio, Pennsylvania, as well as Ontario and Quebec. And what the governor is trying to do is to decommission the current pipeline without the replacement. So that would strangle much of the energy source for the upper Midwest. We appreciate the government of Canada has filed a complaint under the 1977 Pipeline Transit Treaty, and I'll hand it over to Minister Wilkinson to talk about that.
Minister?
Yeah, and I would say the proponent has indicated a willingness to do whatever needs to be done to address the environmental concerns, and certainly the pipe under the Straits of Mackinac is a key element of that. We think the company has gone above and beyond what is required here, but we are obviously looking to find a resolution that's going to work for all sides. And certainly we have invoked the treaty, which is a treaty between Canada and the United States, which relates to the free flow of pipelines and the products within pipelines. And we look to try to find a way to resolve this. This is an important pipeline, not just for Canada, but I mean, Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania get products from this pipeline.
Have we ever had a leak or problem with that pipeline?
Not to my knowledge, not anything significant.
That's my
For 6 decades, correct? And they're willing to basically, I'm understanding, encapsulate that in a tunnel type, so it would prevent it from ever being a danger to the Great Lakes.
That's right, Senator. And I believe what Enbridge needs to proceed more quickly, which is what Michigan would like to see, is an acceleration of the federal regulatory approvals of that. But to stop the current operation would jeopardize energy security for the upper Midwest. There's no doubt about that.
With that, we'll go to Senator Brasso for his questioning.
Thanks,